of it, so I'm always talking about that. And you grew up in Augustown as well. And
Yes.
so we're going to do a little thing, what you love the most. So you and I are going to just do a little thing, what you love the most about Augustown. All right. And if there's anyone here who is from the community, let us see if you remember those things. What was the most, fun thing that you enjoyed in the community itself, not in your home, anywhere
In the
outside
community.
of your home? So you tell
Okay,
me yours and I'll tell you mine.
there's lots. There's lots, but let me tone it down. I remember when they used to play cricket, and we used to go, I think Nollies all over. We just used to go and we used to have fun. Going to the river as well to wash, um, because of water shortage. That was fun. And I'm not lying, borrowing people's June plum and apple next door. I don't want to say the word steal.
You
Borrowing it.
borrowed them, yes. We
Yes,
borrowed
I
them, yes.
borrowed people
Just borrowed
fruits.
them, but you never brought them back. Yes,
No,
you borrowed.
never brought them back. So borrowing people fruits from their trees is something just more. The taste is, it's natural, and sometimes you don't realize what you lose or not having until you're not around it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So those are some of the things that are really stands out for me.
Okay. I don't- I don't- Okay, so for me is Mass George swing song. All right. and and we don't say swing like Mass George swing song. It was just it for me. That swing song was just all the way up there, in the top of, I don't know what type, I'm trying to remember what type of tree it was. But I just love going to,
Apple.
I hear somebody saying Starful. I know that that's my sister's up in the background there saying Starful. But that swing song it was just off the chain. It was just way up there in the top. To me, it was extra. Maybe it's not as high, if
Mm.
just looking, from an adult perspective. But I love going there. I love going there and going on that swing song. All right. Another thing, and this just has to do with Jamaica in general. So for the Jamaicans on, let's see. So it's just between you and me, but other people might, have their say so in their minds, but it's a thought them in. So in terms of your favorite fruit as a child, what
Mm.
was it?
I think I have more than one, and I can be a little bit strange as well. I love green mango and salt and pepper,
Oh,
because I
Lord.
think I've got a little thing in the background. I have a little Indian side as well. We love pepper, so we use salt and pepper. Or they have this thing, I don't know if it's the right name, June plum. I love June plum. And even this evening, I feel for some, I don't know if it's the right name again, because, we pronounce some things really bad.
Yes, we do.
um, this one named Neeseberry. It's brown. Smells really nice. I love Neeseberry. I'm a fruit person. And jackfruit. Oh Lord. I love jackfruit.
It looked like it's just all of them. It's just everything.
Those are my, like, all of those. I love fruits. So it's like to have a favorite. I don't know which one. So I name the ones that I like the most.
All right. I'm just gonna piggyback on everything that you said. I mean, the only thing that you never mentioned that I love is guineas.
Oh yes,
Um,
I love that too.
I'll eat them even when them so burning up my tongue and all those
I love
not
that
so
too.
good stuff. I love that. My final dodging questions, and for those who are coming on for the first time, we ask these questions, just to lighten the air a bit. So because most of the questions that we go into are usually, the more serious questions. So the the final question, how would you, if you had to make a comparison between, because you have two beautiful daughters and they were born and bred in the UK. So if you were to compare your growing up against theirs, what would you say um, would they miss? What did they miss out on? Because we love to tell our kids that, when I was growing up, I did this, and you missed all of this because your age is so different. What would you tell your kids, that they really missed out on if they had grown up in the time, in the era that you grew up in?
For me, is like playing outside, the outdoors. Um, we use everything and turn it into games when we were little. Even if it's sticks and stone, we use it and turn it into a ring game. And I even the other day I was saying to one of them, I said, we used to play this thing called Dirty Daddy, Dirty Mama. And you say that word, it sounds dirty, isn't it? And you have to chase after the person smack you and you run around and you just have fun. So I think for me, it's just being outside and having fun. They used to call me the tomboy. So climbing trees. The only tree that I couldn't climb is that coconut tree. It's just too long. But climbing trees and so on, because I realize these kids get too modernized. And then again, the winter sometimes they have to stay inside. While Jamaica just hot all year, right round, and you just appreciate the breeze that they don't have. So little things like that, going back to their roots, things that we used to, you don't have to grow a peas into a pot. You could put it in the ground properly and let to see that plant just come to life. So a little bit of exposure when it comes to being outside, just out and about, having fun instead of on the games, or just cloak up in the house or in an apartment, or just going to the play area. You can go bush, you can go to anywhere, you can just feel free. And sometimes you don't feel free here. It feels very controlled. Even anything you're doing is very controlled. And even when you're talking, you gotta know that you pitch your voice a certain way. So in Jamaica, you just say picnic more house, or but you gotta tone it down when you're here. I'm not hearing you.
I was mute. I don't know why I was muted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, maybe that was an accident. I don't know what went on. Yes.
Okay.
Likewise, and I think I'm sure if I could see everybody who is here, and what's interesting too is that, I lived in South Carolina for quite a while, and the how they grew up is a little similar, because I was in the country, like the country area. And a lot of people, when you hear about the things that they did, growing up, it's kind of similar. So the youths who are growing up now, their fun is basically just sitting in front of the phone or sitting in front of a computer, just playing games, but just getting out there and just being in the yard. And so where I am now, like, I am just so excited. Like, I'm so excited about the whole yard. I'm just excited about it. I wake up and I hear the birds chirping and I'm like, oh my God, this is just beautiful. So yes, we did have a lot of fun growing up, and I'm sure that a lot of people here, whether you grew up in Jamaica or you grew up in another island, I know there are a lot of St. Lucians on right now. You grew up in another island, or you grew up in Trinidad, whether it be St. Lucia, Trinidad, wherever. If you even grew up here in the United States, it's not the same. It's not the same. I have some Caucasian friends that I'm very close to, and one of them told me about, when I was growing up, I used to do the saltfish. And so and he's 80 something. So the other day I was visiting and I brought him saltfish, and he was just so excited because the codfish, what we call saltfish, they call, the fillet. Codfish. Fillet codfish, yes. Okay, and I know this is the part that everybody has been waiting on. You know, you want to hear what Pastor, you want to hear a little about Pastor Jackson's story. All right, so like I told you earlier, and I don't have to hold the book up because she has it right behind her. And you know, before I go into asking her the questions, support her, because all the money that comes from this book goes to the Lupus Foundation in Jamaica. She pockets nothing. Everything goes to the Lupus Foundation in Jamaica. You know, in your book, and you know, we're not going to go in depth because we want people to actually purchase the book, but the book is basically like a timeline, you know, about your illness, you know, how you dealt with it and so on. And so, like I said, you know, different people go through different things and rise above it and walk into their purpose, because regardless of what was going on with you, you know, regardless of whatever was going on with your illness, you rose above it, you stood through it. And so if there's someone on today, that's a person we're speaking to, or it can be any situation, understanding that purpose is hidden inside of you, and regardless of what. So let's go into it. All right, so you talk a little about your diagnosis. So you found out that you had this ailment. And for people who I know people with lupus. I had one coworker who had lupus, and she was home more than she was at work because of her illness. So when were you, you know, give us, you know, timeline, you know, in terms of, though you don't necessarily have to tell us your age, you know, when you found out, you know, that you had this illness?
I think I found out
or when you
when
were in
I was,
Jamaica?
it was when I was in Jamaica. So I was at uni. I think it was the first year of uni. So it happened to me in the first year of uni. But I've always been a bit sensitive. So back in the days, mom used to call it each bump. So if you go in the sun, I used to get a little bit of rash. So I used to get a little bit of rash, and we just used to boil it down to, you know, I'm allergic, like just eat bumps. So that used to go on, and then early 2000, I think after first year uni, I noticed that my skin between my breasts start getting black, like proper dark, and it just start itching worse. So then they said it was like eczema. So it was about early 2000 in my first year. I think I finished my first year. I think it happened. It was noticeable when I was in the States, because I love to travel. So I went to the state to work to help with the financial burden of my mom. And then I started itching. But because I'm always sensitive, I didn't really think nothing of it.
You just think you had sensitive skin.
Yeah, I just always thinking it's nothing to worry about, until it just, this time it wasn't going away. It's just keep getting worse. And then it becomes very concerning, like whatever we do, it just wasn't helping. Whatever was the ointment, it wasn't helping. So I think I get back, I'm trying to remember, it's probably 2 decades now.
That's fine.
It's probably 2 decades. So I survived, isn't it? So and at the time I've never heard of lupus. I'm backtracking now, and then I remember when I was in year 9, I remember seeing somebody with lupus, but it was sad. It's like she passed. I saw it on the telly. And so, but apart from that young lady or that teenager, I've never heard about lupus like how I'm hearing it now. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's one of the reasons why now I've got that courage to say lupus. I couldn't say it before. Why I couldn't say it before is like, I don't know. I think it probably used to stress me out. I think I don't know. It's just zone. I just don't want to say it. I don't. And even a lot of people before I write this book, I've never really talked about it. I don't talk about it. Even families and friends, they know that I was sick, but I don't talk about it. I just couldn't talk about it. I didn't have that courage to talk about it. Um, because I know that people never really, some people pass, and it can be a tough battle. So it's over 2 decades from the diagnose, and it has gotten better over the years, and of which I will say, but I'm waiting on your question. But it's over 2 decades, and I was young, slim, and trim. We already don't have to worry about going to gym. And I said that to say this, that upon taking some of these medication, it gains it made me put on more weight than the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I gotta take the medicine in order to survive. But it used to like bulk me up,
Mm-hmm.
because my body just bulk up because of the medicine. So a lot of people would say, you're getting fatter, you're getting this, but people don't know what you're going through, and
Mm-hmm.
people say a lot of things, but they didn't realize at the time that I had to be taking medicine that started make. And even now, sometimes I think some of these things that was in my blood, I still struggle with some of these medication. And that's why I would recommend, if you're in a long-term illness and there's something that you can take to reduce the medicines, I would say sometimes you can find alternative,
Mm-hmm.
if
Take it.
and yeah, if you can reason that with your doctor, find alternative, because sometimes the medication, there's another side effects from the medication. So
Mm-hmm.
over 20 years living with
Still
this
living
thing.
with lupus. So in those early years, what were some of the effects of the illness?
Um, it makes me couldn't sleep. That's one thing. It makes me itch. It's I would say, like I said in my book, it reminds me of the leopard, because I used to have a lot of scale and sores. Um, and then I had to be on monitoring as well, because it can damage your organs. So when I say organ, I mean any organ. So I had to be doing checks. One of the medication was really
How often were
dangerous.
those checks?
Initially, like maybe like every 2 weeks, I would go different places.
Wow.
So upon diagnosis, I used to do, like, I did the blood work. So you would have to check different things. So you would have to. I remember I used to go KPH to do checks with my eyes, because they said one of the medication can damage the eye.
Wow.
So I used to go downtown, and downtown. There are times when I'm going downtown, yeah, I have to be looking out for gunman. I have to be looking out, because sometimes, depending on where you walk, you'll be walking up to the downtown. I don't even know the road. I remember the
Yeah, I
road,
know where
and I just hear
KPH at.
shots
Mm-hmm.
start, boom, 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 boom. You just hear gunshot just
Wow.
firing, and that used to make me scared. Because, come on now, I'm a little country girl, even though I'm in town doing uni. I'm not used to that barrage of gunshot. And back in the days, that's where I learned that you have to walk and make sure that you know how to, because stray bullet, they call him stray bullet, we catch you. It's not their intention to get caught up in the conflict, but you can, it happens. Stray bullet will catch you. So I used to be scared at times going downtown. If I'm going up by Barbican Road, it wasn't so bad. I feel more safer. So, it's just that thing, because you're young, and most times, because it was so, I would say, it was too rigorous. It's not every time I can get somebody like a family member to follow me. There are some trips that there's some journey, and I always says this. There's some journey that you're gonna have to take. It's just you and God. And some of these journey that I went on and still going on, it's just me and God. So lupus brought me to a place where it's just me and God. So I used to do these, and then over time, after a while, it's like instead of going every 2 weeks, you start getting 6 weeks, or you start get 2 months. But you get regular checks to make sure that things is working or not working, and make sure. But
go ahead.
It's a lot of different things that they have to check to make sure that your body is functioning the way it
Because
should.
lupus affects base, because I've been reading your book, and so lupus impacts, basically it can affect you in any way. Like it is not, it's like
it's not one.
It's like there's so many different ways in which lupus can break down your body. I think there was one point where you had hair loss.
Oh yes.
Tell us
I'm
about
laughing
that.
now, I'm laughing, but it's nothing to laugh about, trust me. And this I learned from having been ill. I learned to laugh a little, because stress, worries only make the situation worse. So let me see, what's it? Apart when the skin start getting dark, then the hair start falling out. Wow. No, so I would be combing my hair, and it just come out in clumps, and it was really bad. Like I'm laughing now, but I'm not really laughing. It was so sad, because like when it falls, it really that Jada Pinkett, it looks like that, like it's alopecia. There's nothing there, and it was so in a way that like maybe this side was totally gone. So it looks like my skin.
Wow.
When the hair fall off, it looks bald. There's nothing there, nothing. And then I used to hide it, but then the other side start falling off.
Wow.
And then it just start all over. But I didn't want to cut it off, because for me my hair is like my little sanctuary. So I used to wear hats. And then people just, sometimes people just talk.
That was going to be my next question. How did that make you feel, like to go as a woman losing your hair, or as a female, as a young female losing your hair, going out in public, scrutiny of the public? How did that make you feel?
Let me go from the top. Because the hair loss was so bad, that's one of the places that they did the biopsy. So this side of the head, they shave it even more, and then they cut the skin or the scalp. Let me try and use the right word, right? They cut the scalp off, and to test it to make sure that whatever they're saying is correct, because the head was looking really bad, because it's coming out in clumps, and I wasn't going to get bald. So they cut the scalp, and then I remember they stitching it up. So they stitched back the scalp. When they do that, and again, I think my cousin is on here, I didn't really talk that much. I didn't really tell people what I'm going through. There was no need. It was just me and God. And when they cut it, as I said, I either tie my head or wear hats. And what it does to me, I would say it affects my self-esteem and my mental health, because then you're a young, green, pretty girl, don't look so pretty anymore. And, it's like you feel like you're not attractive. You feel like, you're way down there. You feel like you're way down in the valley.
It affected your self-esteem.
you feel like for me, I enjoy staying in house. I don't want to go out anymore. So I feel like I've become written off, like a bad check. Like I've been written off from society, and I just live my life in a little box. But there was something in me. I think it was a little fight. I never wanted to stop going uni. So I just planned that, you know what, I am going to fight this thing with everything in my body. It's either me or it, but not the both of us. And I remember, even though it keeps falling off, I just tie it and go to school. I never really miss a day. If I'm going to UE for checkups, I would come to class and then shoot off and do my checks and then back. But I've
Oh.
never really missed a day. And you know what? Before they even before they cut it, I remember they had to inject me in the scalp. That was hot because it's like, like a toothache and they inject in the gum. They was just joking me in my head, like
Chicken in the head.
joking, yeah, man, joking me up in my head, like poking me in my head. I'm like, wow, people really, sometimes some people sick, they go through a lot, a lot. So they inject me a couple times to make sure that spot was, you know, basically numb. And then they slice what they need to slice, and then they stitch what they need to stitch. And obviously, I have to learn to live with it. And the hair wasn't coming back. The hair was just falling and falling and falling. So each time it fall, have you ever trying to lose weight and when you go on the scale not moving and you just feel that like you feel a bit depressed? So
Mm-hmm.
each time the year comes out in clumps, it's like I just feel like here we go again. It's just not, it wasn't good on me. I didn't take that easy, but I keep pressing. I know for sure that I kept pressing, I kept pushing myself that that one day things must get better. So, it still fall. I never shave it though. I never shaved. I was more looking into wearing wigs
Mm-hmm.
and hats and scarf, anything to
Cover
keep me
it.
going. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. And
I
keep you
just cover
pushing.
it up and keep going.
What about support, back then? Um,
Um,
who was
it's
who
not
wa- was your support system?
my mom. My mom was my biggest supporter. My mom was my mom was like everything at the time, and I knew it affected her in a lot of ways. And then I had a prayer group. I had a prayer group that was really my sister from another mother, my sister from another world. I had a prayer group where, even though I might not download everything to every one of them, they had some idea and they see the pain, they see the hair loss, they see the impact it had on my body, and they know how to pray as well. I'm coming from, we were young, and that's why sometimes when I hear young people say they don't know how to pray, boy, we learn how to pray and pray fast. Because they when I'm weak, they strengthen me. When I'm down, they said something, and we didn't have WhatsApp to keep us going. We meet at church and we prayed. They would come to my house and they would pray. But as for like here, you would have different network and so on. I didn't have that medical team or mental health team behind me, somebody to counsel you, because like here you've got that. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have that growing up as a child. I didn't have that as a young lady with this thing dealing with. I didn't have that, but not had. I have my friends who pray. I had my young people who pray, and I think for me that's everything, because they always praying in the middle of the road. We pray on even before the during the diagnose. I remember taking that all of those blood work to Augustine New Testament. I took them to Augustine New Testament, and the Lord, you know what, the Lord always speaks to you. I stood on those. It's like he said to me, stand on them. I took them to church for the pastor to pray for them. And that's my faith coming into action now. But while I was at church, it's like I heard the Lord said, you know what, just stand on them. You're going to stand on it as you're going to stand on this sickness. And I put them under my feet. And while my pastor pray and people in the church pray, I was standing on those paperwork, because in my head, I'm saying, I'm going to stand on this sickness, no matter what it is. If it's cancer, whatever it is, I am going to stand. Because at the time, we didn't know what we were fighting. I know that I was standing on something, I was up against something, but I didn't know what it was. So I just tell myself that this is the way that I'm going to take, and that's the routine I'm taking until this day. So it wasn't a easy road. It comes with a lot of tears. Sometimes I would go to church and would not understand. Just, you hear the talking, and family members you hear. As I said, somebody called me mange.
Wow.
They say you
And we
look like
know
you have
what
a
mange
mange.
mange is like, and that's derogative because in Jamaica that's the liken that to like a dog. When a dog has a
A
mange
dog.
and you have all of these things on the skin of the
Yes.
dog and so on.
Yeah. Because sometimes you would say the mange dog back home.
Yes, that's what it is.
Because sometimes when I flakes, not lying, it might come across looking like mange, but when you flakes, it drops off. It has that thing. But because it's also mange is associated with dogs, you're like, it's not nice somebody's suffering and you're comparing them to them have mange, because that person is already suffering upstairs, plus the impact on the body. So it's like a double suffering because they've got the physical illness dealing with. And then when you tell them that now you're fighting something in the head, it's something that you're thinking. So that was hard to take. And that's why I cover up. I cover up. It's just like, I know. I think this evening I put on my jacket over this, and something said, no, you cover up long enough. I've been always covering up.
And I
And there's a
think
time when
it is mental, because over time, because you had that experience, you just feel like, I'm just looking at you, and I'm very sure the audience, can look and maybe thinking the same thing, because where I'm sitting, I can see you have beautiful skin. But, because you had that experience, you still feel like,
yes,
maybe mentally, it's always
mentally
there, like, okay, I need to just cover my body
cover
because
up.
I don't, you don't might not feel, sometimes I feel like, okay, my body's still not looking good, but your body, see that your body clear up and stuff. Yes. And I think too, because lupus is not something that is known to everybody, and that is one of the reasons why the book that you wrote is so important, to educate people, about what lupus is. Like for me, as I read the book and you gave, detailed medical, information from a medical perspective, and as you got that information from medical practitioners and so on, you get a better understanding of what is going on, because sometimes even people who are not diagnosed, might have this condition and they might not know that they have this condition. My next question to you is that you migrated to the UK. And before, there's another question I'm coming to, but before I get there, now migrating to the UK, still struggling with this illness or disease, comparing, and you made that comparison or a little bit earlier when you talked about, the type of treatment you'd get in the UK as opposed to the type of treatment you'd get in Jamaica. Not that we're downplaying what takes place in Jamaica, because I do know a lot of, I know, let me say not a lot, I know 2 people in Jamaica who has lupus. I had a student who had lupus. I know, now I understand, because she went bald.
Yes.
So now I better understand
Yes.
why she was bald. She was in upper school, teenager, and so she
Mm.
went bald. And then I also tell you about my coworker who she spent more time away from work than she was at work. And I realized that her financial resources kept going a lot into, the illness that she had. So making the comparison now between your transition to the UK as opposed to, what was happening with you in Jamaica in terms of treatment, care, and so on, and maybe even, further diagnosis.
What I noticed with Jamaica, I'm gonna be practical and just say it. In Jamaica, if you don't have money, you're dead. Simple, straight. In Jamaica, if you don't have money to do the necessary tests and so on, trust me, it's very difficult, because sometimes if my mother didn't have something put down underneath the shady tree, maybe I wouldn't be here today, because we spent, we spent almost everything. I remember one day we were running out of meds, and my brother had to give us his saving. And that's why sometimes I put up with my brother when he's acting all crazy. He said, like, I have a little money here.
Wow.
And you can use this. And we had to use it, because it's not just the treatment, transportation, the odd days when you have to do blood works. And sometimes on top of the lupus, you because you've got it, you pick up other sickness. So you have to be treating the other sickness, because that happened to me as well. And I remember back
because
in
it
the
affects your
day,
immune system.
yes. So I pick up something, and at the time, I think one of the tablet, then 20 years ago, one of the tablet was $700. One.
Wow. Wow.
And I had to take it like a course of antibiotics, because I pick up an infection. And somewhere, and I said, back then, $700 was a lot of money for one tablet.
One
And
single
that is not
tablet.
my normal, it's one single tablet, and I needed more than one.
Wow.
So it's like you had a lot of or somebody cousin died from it.
I
She was
just
different,
yes, it, and that, this
so,
is just to interject and hold on to that point, as the guest, as the someone for the audience made that point. And this is one of the reasons why I really wanted to have you on, because people will hear you talking about this illness and not understand how deadly it is.
it is.
Because this is an illness that kills, and people die from it. And here you are, telling a survival's story, So tell us about that. You're still making a comparison with the medication.
So when I took that one tablet, I think that's when my brother steps in, because mom's fund was like a bit depleted. And knowing us, and I am still like that, we don't like to talk. We go and shut down quiet. As I said, my cousin is on, and I don't think he knows everything. And we grew up like brothers and sisters. But because mom would say, if you talk, people are going to tell you later on. So it's like we suffer in silence. Technically, that's what happened. We suffer in silence. We max out I think it was Blue Cross Health something.
Yeah, we had Blue Cross in Jamaica.
Yeah, that was maxed out. Things was tight. But because things start improving, oh bless God. If my health was improving, I couldn't afford it. It started improving over the years. As I said, prior changes things, and
we're going to talk about that in a little. Yes,
prior changes things. So my health's improving over the years. So it reduced the medication, and you know, all time people say kwaku and those things. So I start use some home remedy. I start to use some home remedy.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. And when I came here, I started. Somebody told me about, because I think I had eczema, so they said bathe in baking soda because I still used to itch. So when I'm having my bath, I would use baking soda as well because I don't get the kwaku. Anybody remember kwaku?
I've heard
Kwaku,
of it, but I don't know it. Yeah.
kwaku is a bush. It's a bush. That's the thing in the Caribbean. You've got a lot of herbs that we can use. There's a scientific name for it that was said in the book as well. But I use kwaku and other things to help alleviate the medication costs. I mean, some people's situation is serious than mine, where some people even get strokes. But as I said, one of my medication as well was prayer and fasting with the medication. I used to do that even though I'm on medication. So there were days where I used to take 7 tablets for the day. I had to take 7 tablets.
Wow.
And it's different tablets, but I remember at one point I take 7 tablets a day to survive. Tablet, you say I hear tablet now, you see. So I used to take 7 tablets. But as I said, I'm trying to compare it with here. When I land, when the plane land and drop down in the United Kingdom, things change for me. They are more fussy about your health. They would come to your house if they have to. Blood work is free. Everything is free. The medication.
I'm moving to the UK.
Yeah, if your income is below certain things, it's free. And you would pay one money. So if you're taking 1 month supply, 2 month supply, you pay one money for the medication, and you get proper checks. Of monitoring to make sure that you're okay, and they just deal with you a little bit different. And obviously, it's a different world. It's a different medical system. It's more high tech. But for me, it's better. Even though you've got in every system, you've got drawbacks and advantage. But for me, it was better in terms of costing and the traveling as well. Because in Jamaica, the hospital they're far and few, while here I could go one place and get everything done. Everything under one umbrella. So it's like in Jamaica, I have to be traveling uptown, downtown, and the stress of, the crime and violence always in the background. I'm not going to pretty up anything. I love my country, but it is there. So you have to make sure as a young girl, you're safe. Safety, you're safe. So when it comes to UK and the treatment, it was better in terms of costing, and I feel safer. And the prop that I enjoy from the UK was the weather. Oh, bless God. There was no sun. So it when the sun is out, it triggers flares for me. So there was hardly any sun. So that helps me as well in terms of.
So most people are like, okay, I don't want to go to UK because it's cold. But
it's a bit cold,
for you, it has had a positive impact on your health.
Yes. But then again, there's this girl that she said it's the opposite. She has lupus, but she feels better in the hot weather. So there you go. So I think lupus is just funny. So probably different things for different folks. She said she feels better in the hot weather, while at the time I feel better in the cold weather.
In the cold weather. Yeah. Like I said, lupus, you don't know how it is going to impact you. Like for everybody, it's different. It's different. Yeah. Everybody, it's going to impact you differently and that is one of the things I realized as, I spent years or a number of years with at least one person and a few years with another, and I watched, and there is something you also spoke about, because I'm not going to want you to talk about everything that was in the book, but there's something else that I wanted to touch on a little, because the experience I had with my past student was that I remember after she graduated, one of the things that they said was that she was not supposed to have children.
Oh,
and
yes.
and she went ahead and she had a child, and that child came was born, very sick, to the point where the child was born in the state like a vegetable. For you, you spoke a little about being pregnant with lupus. What was that like?
Because your body has been battered, they would recommend for you not to have children. And and as you said, it was really battered, because even my face changed color. My face, it looks like sore. Do you understand? So it's like everything, it ravaged my body. It's like it was eating me alive.
Wow.
And I think it's until today, my hair is natural. So sometimes people might be wondering, if you can't do our hair. It's just that because you went through that, it's like you survive it. So you said, I'm gonna leave your hair as it is. So my hair is very much natural, because just the chemical, you don't want to do anything that will trigger something. You're just being careful. So I remember, I used to say I don't think I can have kids. But you know what? I used to love children. I still do. I love kids so much. I always have kids around me. Kamika's daughter, she's what, 20 something. She was one of the first babies who used to fight for my lap in church. So when Mr. Lupus decided to show up at my door, I used to say to myself, I can't allow this man to make me not have children. So this is something, again, and everything I do is prayer and supplication. I just, maybe me pray too much,
No,
but I
that's
love to
fine.
pray. And I remember, like some people telling you here, so once your body is under the blood, I believe in our Lord Jesus Christ. So that's what I'm
Amen.
saying. I'm
Amen.
not talking
Mhm.
about goat blood now, people. Once you're under the anointing of God, and whatsoever people say or do, or even the doctors, you can beat the odds. I'm here to tell you that you can beat the odds. So what I did, I married very late. I didn't marry at 18. I planned to get married at 18. It never happened. So I married very later than that, when I'm more mature. So, and when I marry, I decided that I am not going to take none of those things. I'm going natural. I'm trying to tone it down. And I go for it. And then I married like today. In fact, Monday is going to be 12 years. 12 years. So I do the maths. Monday is going to be 12 years, and my first child is 12. So I didn't wait, because I was told that I might not have children.
Yeah.
And then the community I'm from, they said I love kids too much, and people who love children. This is
Not gonna
superstition,
happen.
People who love children not going to get none. That's what they say. People who love kids not going to get any. So because I heard all of these things, I didn't try to take no tablets, no nothing. And, bam, after the wedding, bam, baby come. Simple as that. Um, I did, however, I on my monitoring, I think I did, however, was on medication, of which I did, I break the rules. Do not do what I do. I mean, that's between you and God. I break the rules by stop taking medicine, because I said I didn't want anything to happen to the baby.
Mm-hmm.
So I break the rules, and I use olive oil and prayer. So I anoint my tummy, and I pray. I pray a lot, people. I can't survive without prayer. I pray in my sleep sometimes. I pray a lot. And that's what keeps me going. So I beat the odds, and I don't think nothing was wrong with Jada. I was spotting in the pregnancy, but God kept the baby in. I was spotting, and I didn't really develop no serious complication. But once again, because of my medical background, I was placed on special watch here. So everything they string you up just to make sure that you're always gonna be that special candidate when it comes to baby, and with
And
somebody like my background, because even COVID, there was some point where you were, what they call that, I don't remember what they call it in COVID, like you were meant to stay inside.
So
They would
so with both, so now you don't only have one, but God blessed you with two.
yes.
So the second pregnancy, was it just as smooth as the first one, or no, it wasn't really smooth? We can't call it smooth.
It wasn't really smooth. The second one, I lost it anyway. So I had a miscarriage, and I thought it was lupus. I had a miscarriage in between. I had a miscarriage, and once again, most people don't know. But I didn't know what it was, because what they said, if you're stressed, it triggers it off. But because, I think sometimes I come across as this strong, confident, overpowering, is people think that I'm not weak.
No, people think you don't have any weakness.
People think that I don't have any weakness. Yes, that's the correct terminology. But when I look into it, I didn't know. I can't explain. I don't know why I lost that baby. And I thank God that I was able to conceive another time. So in fact, I would have had 3 kids, but I lose one in between. And it was tough, because sometimes you go through a season of loss. As I said, I don't know if it's related to the lupus. I know, just like your friend, they said that you shouldn't have, because sometimes you take injections, sometimes you do blood transfusion, sometimes you do all type of something, depending on how it's affecting the body. Sometimes you're weak, sometimes you're up, sometimes you're low, and sometimes you look fine, but it's invisible. And that's why I'm making a voice. No, I can speak. Lupus sometimes is invisible, and sometimes people would say you're not sick. Sometimes people can't pinpoint what is going on in your body. But thank God, even though I beat the odds in terms of medicine, and I have 2 beautiful girls. They born very healthy, normal way, no C-section. I learned to push for what I want. So I pushed. I pushed them out the normal way. So thank God I was able to feel what it's like to be a mom, to actually push. Some people don't have that either.
So your book is entitled The Power of Faith. Now, you have given us a lot of information in terms of, living with the illness, being diagnosed, how people treated you, because they themselves were not knowledgeable of what you were going through. But, how significant was your faith walk? How significant was your faith walk in getting you through?
And my faith in God is everything. My faith in God is what pulled me through. It is 110 or more significance in my life. Without my faith in God, I would not have been here today. If I had never come to Christ, I come to Christ at a young age. And I think the Lord had a plan for me, because I came to Christ, and within the first couple of years, I got struck with lupus. Now, if I didn't turn my life over to God, I wouldn't know what I would lean on.
Yeah.
Because I learned to lean on Him in all of that was happening. Even when the doctor said, you're here, you said your student lost every year. I was almost there. My hair wasn't on my head. And that's why sometimes I just let go my hair and just color it up and just do what I want to do and just show
now
the world.
You have hair And you
Yes, because it's
can
my
show
hair.
it. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I show my hair, the big afro in London. So when I was like 26, I used to just let it out and just all type of color, whatever color I feel for it, because I didn't have any at one point. So I've learned to walk this walk. I remember before the years start coming back, and this is where my mom, I said to mom, one day just get that unction. I said, Mom, you know that the Lord is gonna give me back my hair. And mommy looked at me as if me crazy, as if kind of mad girl that me have. Excuse my language, yeah. But mom looked at me like I'm going crazy. I said, Mom, I heard it, man. I get the unction. I've been always saying this time, I get the unction that the Lord is going to give me back my hair. And I said, Mom, if God say it, and this is me, if I tell you something, I'm gonna believe it. If God says he's gonna give it back, he's gonna give it back. And it never come the same time. But I remember one time I was dressing the scalp, the bald scalp, because even though there was no hair, I
Wow.
learned to I dress my head, yeah. So it's just me, my mother, and a church sister of mine named Katia, that's Tanisha's sister. I think those are the only persons that I allowed to dress my scalp. I don't know if anybody else has dressed it. And when Katia used to dress it, she pray. When Katia dressing the scalp, she would pray. And I remember one time when she really said, I think yeah, water just drop out her eyes because she was like, Nita, this year go through. Some people
And
never
for those who
see
don't
it.
understand the dialect, she started crying.
Yes. So Katia just started crying and she dressed the scalp, just anointed it with the cream. But I remember there was when I was anointing it one time, I feel, I use my index finger and I feel like some baby hair coming back. So I called mom and said, Mom, the hair is coming back. I was so happy. And then we used like a piece of mirror and I was holding it up. And I said, give me your index finger, mom. And mom rubbed her index finger along the scalp. I said, yes, me feel something. I feel a little something. And I say, it's coming back. And I say, let's watch it. So we watch it for a couple of days and it
Wow.
start form back. Like, when the baby they born, the young baby and the hair just cut. That's how it start coming back. And I said, with tears in my eyes, that alone for me, even though the lupus was still there, that alone for me just remind me that God is still with me. He's not through with
Yes.
me.
He's
And the
not
hair
through
just
with you.
start, it just start come back on my head. And the hair just start growing back. And that for me knows that I am a work in progress and I'm still a work in progress. You are still a work in progress. So if something as you have lost something, it's coming back. You're waiting on something, it's coming back. So even when we can't see it, it is coming back. So if God don't write you off in this season, don't write off yourself because the hair is coming back. And I've gotten back my head of hair. So when I come to this country, I came to this country with my hair on my head. No more alopecia in the name of Jesus. No more. So even though I still get a little, feelings here and there, I had no more alopecia. And then I don't want to say too much because I don't know if you've got another questions. Have you?
Go ahead, go ahead. I just have one.
Well, because when I came to this country, my faith in God get even stronger. And when my faith in God is never stronger just for me. One thing I've learned, I've picked up people feelings. Like if they're hurting, I know. If they're in need, I know. There's something in me just feel for them, and I learn to see your pain, and I learn to minister to the pain. I learn to speak to problems. So I don't see individuals anymore. I see their suffering, and I learn to command suffering. And I have to learn to speak to mountain, and mountain has to go. That's how my faith has, And I used to say, if lupus never killed me, I don't see the disease that's gonna take me out. So I've learned to, to step in the python head. I've learned to walk on the enemy instead of the other way around. I just learned to, trust God in whatever I'm going through. So even though I was still battling, my faith in God has increased. And I've seen that in my walking, I've seen it in my talking. And look at me today, I can say the word lupus without feeling like I'm trembling, without feeling scared. And if you notice, people in my community never hear me talk about lupus. But no, I am not afraid of what the enemy is going to throw at me anymore. I'm not afraid to tell you that I love Christ in this season, because I know that my faith in God is what kept me alive. It's not what my brothers and sisters say, is my faith in God that teach me these things. The Spirit of the Lord rests on me, and He told me that you're going to get back, you're here. Now look at me, 20 years on, with my hair on my head. Isn't God good? Do you understand? Isn't He good? If He says something, He's going to do it. And that is what I think He's calling me out in this season, to speak thus said God, to say things that the ordinary pastor wouldn't say. Do you understand? He's calling me in this season to speak to people's mountain, because people's faith is not at the place. So therefore they'll be going around the mountain or going around in circle, because the faith needs to increase. So you need to go deeper in God. And it takes something like lupus to probably me to seek His faith. Because from the day one, I jump into getting closer to God. You understand? Bless
All
God.
right.
Come with your last question.
Yeah, all right.
Let
So I think you have answered my last question, because my question to you, in a sense, is my final question, is what advice? And a lot of individuals, you might not be the person who is suffering from a particular illness. It might be somebody who that have an ailment that they're suffering with. And especially some of us who are going up in age, all kind of things, we're diagnosed with different things. I just found out that I'm pre-diabetic. So there is so much going on. What advice would you give to somebody right now who is going through a similar illness, or they know somebody who is going through it, and it don't have to be lupus. And lupus is deadly. Lupus is deadly. You'll hear on the news all the time people dying from lupus. And so, what advice would you give to them? And you can just tell us, what advice would you leave with these individuals?
Any suffering at all, any illness at all, I would say you look to God. But sometimes some of us are not near God. So one thing, somebody came to me at the time, and I was young. I was a young, giddy-headed girl. Probably don't know that I could command demons or command the spirit or command, but I didn't know much about that stuff at the time. And this lady came to my mother, telling my mother to take me to this man in St. Elizabeth to look. And that advice was to look, and I'm going to be explicit here, to look into witchcraft or obia or santeria, whatever you call it, to look. And I would say, don't go and look on that in that capacity. Don't go and look on what the man around the back is saying, because people is going to tell you to go and look. I am telling you now to go and look to Christ. Find somebody who can strengthen you up, strengthen your energy, because you do need it. Sometimes when you get the bad news from the doctor, you're basically, if your energy level was up here, it's automatically dropped. And you find out that you got to change. Because one thing I did do, I was saying to somebody, the moment the doctor told me that I had it, she said to me, caffeine is not good for you. So what I did, I used to drink coffee to stay up at university to study at night. I stopped drinking coffee. So anything with caffeine, I try to, take less. Yeah, just avoid it. So there are things that we can eat. Condensed milk is not good. So you use plant-based, plant-based is always good. I know sometimes we can't take it, because it tastes bad. But
It's
I
not,
would say
yeah.
strengthen your immune system. Find something that works. For me, it was Quaco. For me, it was my church sister. For me, it was, strange the odd thing, just some worship songs to strengthen me. Worship song when I can't pray, and these are the language that the Lord understand. So I used to do a lot of worship song to meditate on Him, and in meditate on Him, take care of me, take care of my health, because my health is my wealth. And listen, one of the things that keeps me going as well, stop listening to negativity. Because the moment you hear somebody dead from it, geez, it's like you start wondering if you're going to dead. You start wondering if you're going to die. You start wondering, am I in the last day of my life? You start thinking negative, and these negative turn into worries and make your immune system get even weaker. And you got to realize that whether it's lupus or any other thing, your immune system is already under attack. So the strength that a normal person has, you don't have it. So if you start to worry in the least effect, it's going to affect you in a negative way. So try not to worry. Try to turn your worry into worship. Try to turn your worry into looking about those, motivational speaker who encourage you. Go to different circles of people. Find somebody who pray you. Because for me, I had some young people at the time that really pray. I had some mothers in the church. You have some mothers, I might not say their name, but there are some mothers in the church who really not just focus on their children, who looked after a child like me and pray me up. So you have some mothers who pray. So find positive way. Find, you've got herbs that you can use. I love the plant aloe vera. I used to drink it a lot, and I noticed when I drink it, I was able to go. There was one thing that I didn't see. I couldn't go in the sun. If I go in the sun, I react. It's like even when I came to England, I couldn't go in the sun, but today I can sunbath. So the things that we eat, the things that we watch, the things that we read, I would say stay positive. There's a doctor that, or some scientist that made a quote, and I put it in the book. Stay positive in every given situation that you have. Whatever battle you're fighting, stay positive. Just stay focused and stay positive, so you know that your mind is already on the mend. Because the enemy attack our minds. So before he attack our minds, then it start manifesting our body. So it's like a spiritual thing. Do you understand? Because I did come across this person who told me that it's me give myself the sickness. So you've got a lot of people who can see as well into your life. So you have to be careful of some of those people who are speaking into your life, because not everybody is a true prophet of God or prophetess of God, and they can see things and see how vulnerable you are and speak things for you to come to them and tell you to carry a goat or carry a mouse or whatever he wants you to carry. But I am telling you now tonight, for me it's night or morning, carry it to Jesus. Don't do anything. Do like me, carry it to your church. Let the elders pray you up.
Yes.
And at the same time, if you're seeking herbalist, natural way, plant-based, yes, that's fine. But make sure that you do nothing and go into the dark world. And you can find my book to tell you what I'm talking about, the dark world, because I don't want to scare anybody. But your health is your wealth. Lean on God. Lean on God in everything that you do. And beg you, listen to what the doctor is saying. Listen to what the doctor is saying. If they start cut down on the red meat, cut down on the red meat, no. Just cut down and reduce what you gotta reduce, because whatever illness it is, you reduce. For me, it affects my iron level. I don't know why. So instead of just having red meat, I use the greens. I try to use plant meats because I can't stomach the heavy meat. I can't stomach the big meat. Put it that way. So I use a lot of greens. Or what you call that? You blend it, whatever, like smoothie.
Smoothie.
Greens. Yeah. So the kale, anything green, because my iron level was under attack. As I said, lupus attack everything in your body. So you have to make sure that all of these things is strengthened. So it eats away at my iron. And in the end, it eats away at my vitamin D because I couldn't use sun. But that's not the case anymore because I'm walking a victorious walk now. So this is a
Amen.
different situation because, he told me that I was going to be able to go into the sun and I can go into the sun. So if God tell you something, trust God that he's going to do it again. If he says it, he's going to do it. He's going to come through for you. So your situation might not be lupus. It might be something else. Do you understand? So now, can I be honest? I do checks out of formality. So I am on check once a year. Once a year. And I do it. I'm not going to not do it. Oh, I'm under the anointing. I'm speaking in the unknown tongues. I'm speaking into people's life. No, I get up and I go and do my checks just the same. Do you
All right.
understand?
Man, that Reverend Anita, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And I'm very sure, and like I always say towards the end, this is the time that you can start throwing stuff in the chat, not talking out on not open your microphones, but saying what you want to say to her right now. But I do thank you for coming on and sharing with us, because we this show pushes people into purpose and what you have to understand. And you said something that is very, very important. Your health is your wealth. And your health is your wealth. And I hope somebody grabbed on to that, because you have to ensure that you are healthy. We have to ensure that we're healthy in order to get to where we need to go. So if we do not take care of our bodies, we are going to be in trouble, and in order to push ourselves into purpose, we have to take care of ourselves. And just like Reverend Anita says, the advice is to, ensure that you're always leaning on God. Just trust God. At the same time, you need people. You need people in your life, positive people who are going to impact your life positively. So you need that. And whether it is a sickness that you're going through or it's some struggle that you're going through, all of this advice still stands. And again, I just want to say to you, Reverend Anita, thank you, thank you, thank you for coming on. This is our second. Somebody is saying this was beautiful, Anita. Thanks for sharing. And that was Althea. Thank you. And yes, you can, light up the chat with, you can say whatever you want to say to Reverend Anita right now. This is your opportunity to say whatever you want to say via the chat. The open forum is in the VIP room. And like I said, we do have a mental health practitioner who is attached to Voices Behind the Mask, who will be there as well. And we spent, last week was just really awesome. Last week was really, really awesome. If you have not subscribed yet to the VIP lounge, please do so now. There are various plans. There is your 1 month. There is also a payment plan for both those who are subscribing from Jamaica or the others who are subscribing otherwise. There is a payment plan. You can pay just for the month and just see what it's like. But there are various options that are there. I'm just going to ask the technical team to just throw in the chat the link to that right now so people can click and register. And remember, that is also going to help others as well, because we will be donating to charities, and we will be showing you Voices Behind the Mask came back bigger and better, and we will be showing you, what we are doing out there to help others who are down, and we are going to be pulling people up. All right, that's all right. That's okay. That's okay. She answers to Anita as well. Just answers to Anita. That's fine. Yes, that is fine. That is fine. Reverend Anita also has a live on Fridays on Facebook, so you can follow her there. Very, very powerful.
Thank you.
And if she is a minister in Recharge Ministries, and that is Recharge Ministries in the United States and the UK. She's one of the ministers in that ministry. She has her book. The Power of Faith, Living with Lupus. Go and get your copy of this book. Remember, every single dollar that you spend will be going towards Lupus Foundation in Jamaica. And just like she highlighted, a lot of people do not have the funding to take care of themselves. I remember I saw this young lady who came on. As a result, I came on your thing one Friday and I saw this young lady and went on Facebook and looked, and I realized that she had to be doing some GoFundMe, and young girl, very, very young.
Very young.
And when you saw her body, the swellings and so on, this is a disease that ravage, you use the correct word, you say ravage. This is a disease that really ravages the body. And so anything that you can do to support this cause, please do. The book is available on Amazon. Anywhere in the world you are, you can get a copy of this book. And remember, all the funding goes back to the Lupus Foundation in Jamaica. So it is going to, and if you have already paid for your VIP lounge, we are going to be giving away something in that room that I know that you all want. So please do that as well. And well, I thank you. I thank everyone who came this evening. And again, I'm your host, Alicia Foot with an E. And this is season 2 of Voices Behind the Mask. And this is episode 2. Last week was episode 1. And I thank you for joining us as we unmask another real person with a real story that is intended to impact and transform your life. So continue to level up, and because it is your season to go, to grow, and to glow into your purpose. And next week, we will definitely have another guest on that has an impactful story as well. So jump into the VIP lounge and hear what is there for another few minutes before we close everything out. But this week, I allowed any and everybody who wanted to be a part of the VIP room last week. And, persons were so excited, about what was going on. One person was in the room, immediately paid for a full season subscription. So I can't tell you what's going on there. You have to make sure that you are there. And we are also bigger and better. We are also offering any businesses that are on and you want to advertise. We are also offering advertisements. And so you can contact us for that. And if you don't have an ad and you want to add, we can do that ad for you as well, whether you want that ad for the show or you want that ad to go. So and you can use it for the show and outside of the show. After that, it's owned by you. So like we say, we have come back bigger and better. So any questions you have, you can throw that now to the technical team as we close out. And once more, thank you all so much for coming. It was just awesome having you all here. And I definitely hope that you all join us next week again. Thank you all so much for coming.